Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. And I know I say this every week, but there is a lot we have to discuss because, headlines kind of changed last night in the final 8 minutes of a game. So can't wait to talk about that. I, of course, am your host, Mark Williams. Unfortunately, Phil will not be able to make it with us tonight, but fortunately, a man that's in very high demand of these days, Mr. Anthony LaRocco of the fourth period.
Mark, I'm gonna throw you a curveball here. How do you feel about Ohtani possibly landing with the Blue Jays? Didn't see that one coming.
I got to tell you, I did not see that coming in any way, but there's a soft spot for me with the Toronto Blue Jays because when I was younger, I just kind of liked them. Joe Carter hitting that home run. I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a Joe Carter jersey. So I got to tell you, if Ohtani goes there and is the man there, I'm okay with that. I always want to see the Toronto Blue Jays at least doing well. And I mean, me being a Mets fan, it doesn't hurt anything. Although I'm glad my fiance isn't here. She would probably murder me, the diehard Yankee fan that she is. All right. Well, without further ado, everybody, we are going to go straight to the A block today because, as I mentioned a couple seconds ago, that headlines changed dramatically at the end of last night. But first, don't forget, Big Apple Hockey trucker hats are available, and as well as I do have a select amount of shirts, sort of like this one. And the A block is always powered by Seat Geek. Use the promo code Big Apple Hockey for $20 off your first order. And Anthony, although the Islanders can look over and say they're 2-0-1 this week, right now fourth in the Metro, and I think I said tied. Yeah, that was Philadelphia.
Tied for third.
Tied for third.
One.
All right,
No,
well,
actually, I think they're 1 point behind Philly. So yeah, they're yeah.
All right, yeah, that was my mistake. I did that earlier, so it's a little bit early for the mark messed up. But Anthony, you know they played San Jose last night. Worst team in the NHL. Now they're not, so they can thank the New York Islanders. But they had a 4-1 lead with 8 minutes remaining in that game, and 2 empty net goals. Is this kind of the lowest point that there has been, and is it time to part ways with Lane Lambert?
2 empty net goals. What do you?
Well, the Sharks pulled their empty net.
Okay.
They had their empty net.
Yeah,
Extra attacker goals. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's funny. There are two things that are true here. First, I'll start with the good. They're 5-1-2 in their last 8 games. Okay, they have the 7th best power play in the league, which is, I mean, mind blowing for an Islander fan because they've always struggled in that regard. They're only 2 points behind the Carolina Hurricanes for second in the Metro, and right now they are in a wild card spot. So
hold on, I just want to quote Homer Simpson for you.
That's good.
Okay, go ahead.
So that's all good. However, there was nothing good about last night. The Sharks, obviously, they were, prior to last night, they were the worst team in the league. Although they have been playing better of late, you got to give them their due.
Yes,
when you have a 4-1, I mean, hell, they almost did this to the Rangers the night before. They were down 6-3. They came back and made it 6-5. So the Rangers almost did the same thing. But you have a 3-goal lead in the third period of 8 minutes left. It was completely unacceptable. And a lot of Islander fans, I would say the majority of the fan base, are fed up with Lane Lambert, and they want him to be removed. And rightfully so. Happens once, you could be like, all right, twice, all right. But the Islanders have blown numerous leads in the third period at this point in this season, and it's unacceptable. It really is. I think that this guy is. He was a great assistant coach. I mean, the Red Wings had interest in hiring him amongst other teams, so I get why Lou gave him the job. But I think his kind of shtick has kind of wore thin here. And the Islanders just aren't responding. I mean, they're a fragile group right now when you have the lead. You could see that. And again, it was similar to the other night when they talked about when they blew that Devils game. I told you guys, once the Sharks, made it 4-2, I was like, all right, this isn't good. But when they made it 4-3, I said to myself, the Sharks are going to tie this game. They're going to tie the game. They just are. And you just had that feeling. And if us, the fans, have that feeling, I think the players have that feeling too, subconsciously. I think they play scared. They have the here we go again mentality. And Lane Lambert isn't able to reset them. Now with that said, some of the Islander players made critical errors. Scott Mayfield on the tying goal, he had the puck on his stick. He wasn't pressured all that much. He ends up lobbing a soft ass clearing attempt off the glass. The Sharks keep it in, and then they score. But not only did they score, if you saw the goal, Tomas Hertl, their best player, okay,
Yep.
he's all alone, back door. He's behind Romanov. He's clearly behind Mayfield at that point. I don't know where he was at that point. The centerman, he was wide open, and mistakes like that can happen. It can happen, and it happens too frequently, way too frequently. And the problem is Lane Lambert abolished Barry Trotz's system, or whatever's left of it. The Islanders, similar to the Rangers, Gerard Gallant last year, they don't have a system right now. It's just kind of willy-nilly out there, and you see it with some of the the point production increase in some of their players. They have more freedom, which is good, but their attention to detail on the defensive side of the puck has totally gone by the wayside. And I said in a tweet earlier today, it's almost like the Doug Waite era of hockey is back with the Islanders right now, because there's no semblance of defense right now. It's hurting him. And Mark, I referenced you. They're 2 points out of second in the Metro, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Look how many points they gave away. They gave away so many points that they actually should theoretically be close to the Rangers right now for first. And that's not an over-exaggeration. That's the reality. They have given away at least 6 to 8 points that they lost. And it's unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. And why Lambert still has a job, I don't know. Is it because Lou Lamoriello looks at the standings and see where they are? I mean, I hope he's not that dense enough and he can see past that. Because while they're competitive right now and in a somewhat good spot, it's masking a lot of things, and those are some fatal flaws they have right now, especially behind the bench. So, look, for me, I don't know why he had a job this morning. The Lou Lamoriello of 20 years ago probably would have handed Lambert a pink slip before he even, right the minute he stepped off the bench last night. I mean, this is a guy that once fired, Robbie Ftorek when his team was in first place. So I don't know where that Lamoriello is, the fiery guy. I don't know if he's just subdued in his older age, but I don't know, I don't know what he's seeing and what his thought process is there. And what it's doing is, I mean, a lot of Islander fans were frustrated with Lou Lamoriello even before this, but it's also, making the ire of him come back for fans. They want him gone too. So it's right now. It's an unfortunate thing that looks like Lambert's going to be sticking around, but I mean, something's got to change. Has to change.
Well, also, once again, just to cap this off, Homer would also say,
"Ooh, that's bad."
Because I got to ask you a couple different things, Anthony. I tweeted this out last week about the Islanders Carolina game, that they ended up giving up the lead with 2 seconds remaining. And I compared it to a guy that leaves the bar, shit-faced drunk, crashes his car into a tree, stumbles bloody into his foyer, and falls asleep right there inside his front door. And everybody looks over and goes, well, at least he got home. That's what the Islanders are right now. By my count, 11 times they have coughed up leads in the third period this season. Now, that's just 11 times. Now, I cited the stat before, and I continue to cite it, and it looks good. You go, hey, they're 7-1 of 4 whenever they're leading and going into the third period. They're, Anthony, that's at least 10 points that they gave away. And 2 of those points were to the New Jersey Devils, which was actually more of a 4-point swing. So the Islanders could have had 2 more points, and the Devils wouldn't add any. All they had to do was play Islanders hockey with what we've seen the last 5 years. Instead, you just brought up Doug Weight. Doug Weight? That's what the Islanders are now when they were the worst defensive team seemingly in NHL history under Doug Weight. Hey, good thing you got offensive freedom, but now you can't keep the puck out of the net. And Anthony, help me out. Who is one of the best goalies in the NHL that wears the Islanders jersey?
Ilya Sorokin, and right now, similar to Igor, their stats aren't really that great. But the problem is that a lot of the goals that he's letting up aren't really soft goals. They're just like for instance, the Sharks, the first goal last night, again, it was Mayfield made an error. Banded the front of the net. The center didn't cover him. The puck came right into his slot. Hurdle cruising off the bench, uncontested, rips a wrister. And those are the type of goals, deflections. The defense is just breaking down all over, and I feel for him and Varlamov. But I think the short answer is replacing Lane Lambert, and again, I think Lou Lamoriello if he's just kind of looking at the standings and some stats, I think he's blind to the fact that he needs to make the coaching change. Listen, last night during the telecast, they showed that since November 17th, what team has the highest, point percentage in collecting points?
November 17th. I'm actually going to say it's the Edmonton Oilers. Oh, wait, Nashville Predators.
No. I was leading you to
the Islanders.
The Islanders have the second best in collecting points per game since November 17th. So it's stuff like that. I don't know if that's the stuff Lou's seeing. I'm like, oh, the team's performing well, let's keep them. But no, there's a lot of underlying issues that are going on that need to be addressed. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to address that. So,
but again, what we've seen since Lou got here, hired Barry Trotz, and even to an extent last year with Lane Lambert, the Islanders got on top and they shut you down. There's no way you're coming back. Everybody knows you can come. They are the worst team in the third period in the NHL now. I think the San Jose Sharks statistically, but you know what? You just lost to the San Jose Sharks. Mm-hmm. So now they are the worst team in the third period. That's not the New York Islanders. And I know they can possibly get that back and get that feeling back. But Anthony, you can't be a serious Stanley Cup contender like this. And it gets late early out there, especially when there is so much competition in the Metro. And we're going to talk more about teams in the Metro in the Bar Talk segment. But you can't have that happening. By the way, everybody, I've just recently published my latest article. What is your team wishing for Christmas? And for the New York Islanders, Anthony, it's very simple. They only play 2 periods of hockey now. That's it. Then the Islanders are the best team in hockey.
Well, you know what the funny thing is? They scored 2 third period goals last night. And you thought that was them taking care of business, putting a team away. And then until it all unraveled. So the one thing I could say, and a little bit of inside info, is that I had heard that Lou Lamoriello was interested in John Hines before the Wild ultimately made a coaching change and took him. So to me, that at least says that he's been he's thinking about a coaching change. But I don't know what now that he was off the board, what his mindset is in that regard. But I think a change is necessary. But again, it doesn't look like we're going to get it. So we'll have to see how the next couple of games go here, but it's just frustrating to lose a game like that. It
truly is amazing to me, Anthony, because obviously you can see the Brian Leetch jersey behind me, but I'm getting frustrated by this. Almost for you, I'm getting frustrated. But we cover the team. We're looking at everything they're doing. This has to stop. This has to stop. And it drives me crazy watching it and just going, all right, well, by the way, one good thing that might come out of this, I don't think Lou ever wanted to fire John McClain in New Jersey. And maybe there's a second opportunity with him right now. I don't know.
So I mean, granted, he has the power play really going. He fixed that, but if Lou made a coaching change, I don't think he would elevate an assistant. I think he would go out and get a guy who's experienced that's out there right now.
Well,
So
Lou has
I don't
also done strange things like Adam Oates and Scott Stevens as co-captains. He'll think outside the box. He'll do whatever it takes to win, even if that means he has to go down to the bench and coach himself, as the story that Jim Dow told when he was on with us. Anthony, going over to the Rangers, they lost last night 6-2 to the Ottawa Senators. The less said about that game, the better. They looked awful the entire night. And the Rangers 7-3 in their last 10, but we're gonna shine the light on Artemi Panarin. 16 goals, 21 assists, 37 points. He is going to all the dirty areas right now, and that's where he's picking up a lot of points. Anthony, I ask you this question: is Artemi Panarin the NHL MVP?
I mean, he's certainly a strong contender. I mean, I would put him in the top three. I mean, you have to look at Quinn Hughes in Vancouver. I mean, he's certainly playing like one right now. Nikita Kucherov leads the league in points. So even though the Wild are actually, the Lightning are on the outside looking in right now, you still have to consider him with the way he's performing. JT Miller in Vancouver, I think he's second in the league in points. He's having a good year. But I would say ultimately for me right now, if it came down to MVP, I'm either taking Panarin or Quinn Hughes. But Panarin, the thing about Artemi Panarin is he's always produced a lot of numbers during the regular season. For me, this is kind of ho hum because what happens if the playoffs, Mark, happen and he does the same type of Panarin where he disappears because the game gets hard and he doesn't want to compete as much? Then all this means nothing. So, but right now, yeah, there's no doubt about it. He's the best Ranger, probably by a country mile here. And you know what the interesting thing is too is that the Rangers are one of the best teams in the league, if not the best. And Igor Shesterkin has a .911 save percentage, which is just I would say
Pedestrian
average.
for him.
I would have never thought that the Rangers could be this good without Shesterkin playing at a really, really high level. Just goes to show that Artemi Panarin's carrying the team. He truly is. He's carrying the team.
He really is. And Anthony, whenever I have MVP discussions, no matter what the sport is, if you start mentioning two teammates, they're both out right there. So, and let's go with Nikita Kucherov, who's leading the NHL in scoring. So he's on I think right now, a 10th place team in the Eastern Conference. So he's out. Hey, thanks for your 42 points. Your team isn't even a playoff team. He's the MVP in my opinion. Now, going with what you were saying, hopefully what he's doing this season is translating to the playoffs, where he's going to be going to the dirty areas. He is doing everything. A lot of fans were going, oh, is this guy ever going to put it all together and do it in the playoffs? Well, right now he's doing exactly what you think he's doing, and he's not playing a perimeter game. He is using the entire ice, which is a good thing, but this looks like the guy that hopefully when he shows up in the playoffs, he ain't going to have just empty numbers like 6-on-5 assist or goal or something like that. And that's where I think we need to flash forward. Yeah, call me in April about that. But on the other hand, I do think he's the MVP right now. I'm not sure really if it's close, to be honest. And it's
you got that. That's where you got to take off the Rangers glasses a little bit when you say it's not close. I mean, what Quinn Hughes is doing right now is outstanding as a defenseman. The way he's producing, and same thing. Nikita Kucherov, 42 points is 42 points, regardless if his team is on the outside right now. He's playing at. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but probably like 125, 130 point pace right now. 42 points. I mean,
which would be outstanding.
That's outstanding.
But Anthony, I got to go with this. when you're talking about Quinn Hughes, who probably is going to win the Norris Trophy this year, JT Miller's second in scoring, and Elias Pettersson's right behind Quinn Hughes with 34 points right now. I think when you do that, you take away the value of a player, and that's the great thing about most valuable player.
I agree there. I mean, my thing is most valuable player should be looked at it in the sense of, you take that player off the team, what happens? So yeah, you're right. If you take JT Miller off the Canucks, yeah, you still have Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes. So that part is accurate. I mean, that's how I felt about Kirill Kaprizov 2 years ago. But
that's how I feel about Kirill Kaprizov every year.
Yeah, I just think you can't discount Nikita Kucherov because he's playing on another level right now.
That's a good point, and it's a fair point too. I mean, I'm trying to think of other guys that would fit that criteria. David Pastrnak would fit in there. He's got 36 points for the Bruins. This is, but I look at Panarin and just what he's been doing. Hat-trick this Sunday, another goal last night. He's got 16.
Yeah, I mean,
he's scoring goals. He's doing everything.
I mean, for my money, if I had to pick, I'm picking him too. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I don't think it's as a blowout as you think it is. You got to give some of these other guys serious due here.
That's a fair enough point. All right. We're going to move on to the B block, guys, and we're going to ask a simple question. And the question is, we haven't done one of these in a while, so I can't wait for it. Who says no to some of these mock trades?
It's a no for me, dog.
No.
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 All right. Well, welcome back to Big Apple Hockey's Who Says No, where we're taking some of these mock NHL trades that we're going to make up, and you're going to tell us which team is the one that says no, or we're going to tell you that. So
3 stars says Kush.
Yeah, 3 stars. By the way, 3 stars. Welcome to the show. I'm sorry. I can't give it to a team that he's not blowing everybody away to the point of just shadowing everyone. I think if you're going to do that, you better put up 200 points and not make the playoffs. And then I'd ask, how the hell did you not make the playoffs with 200 points? But let's start with this one, Anthony. Let's look at the New York Islanders and a guy that they've been kind of poking around a little bit. To the New York Islanders, Noah Hannafin, and Calgary would receive the Islanders' first-round draft pick, Oliver Wahlstrom, Samuel Bolduc, and J.G. Pageau. Anthony, who says no?
The Islanders are certainly poking around here. I think right now, I think this goes through. I think that the Flames know for sure that this guy's leaving. He's not re-signing. He wants to play in a U.S. market. And you're getting a first-round pick for a team, honestly, that could still be a pretty high pick. Oliver Wahlstrom, who Elliot Friedman said to had suggested that the Flames would have interest in if the Islanders and the Flames hooked up on a deal. And then J.G. Pageau for more salary purposes. The Islanders could acquire Hannafin right now with no problem, but when Pelech came back, they would need to move salary to activate him. So the Flames would have to take back some salary there. And for a guy who they might trade, Elias Lindholm, Pageau, would be a center that would be able to replace him, albeit lower in the lineup. And then Samuel Bolduc, as another young defenseman, as I'm sure trading Hannafin, they're going to trade Tanev. They would probably want a defenseman back that step in and play right away. So I think this is a pretty fair deal for both sides. However, I'm not sure what the timeline is with the Flames on when they want to trade him. I think the Islanders would prefer to do something sooner than later, considering their left side's a little depleted right now. But I think this would go through. However, with the caveat, though, he's going to have to come with an extension. There's some, late talk the last couple of days that he may only want to play for the Bruins, or at least that's the team he wants to sign with at some point. So I don't know how that will affect negotiations with some other teams Calgary's having with, but you got to keep that in mind.
I actually think Calgary is going to say no, because I think Noah Hannafin is going to start a bidding war. And I think this guy might be the top defenseman that's going to be on the trade deadline radar. He might even be the top player on the trade deadline radar. Yeah. I just don't know if that gets it all the way done.
Pageau has 2 more years left on his contract after this. I don't know if you meant to say Hannafin as a UFA. That would be correct. But Pajot is locked in for 2 more years after the season at $5 million.
Yeah, he's got a reasonable deal, but I mean, Calgary still needs to figure out what they're going to be. And they got a lot of things, a lot of problems in Calgary. That roster has too much talent to be as meh as what they've been. They might look at this and they might try to see if they can get a little bit more out of it. I mean,
I don't think they would though.
Like
I mean, what are they going to get? You have 2 young players. You have a first round pick, and then you have a guy that could still play a middle 6 role at center ice. So honestly, I don't think they would get much more than this, to be honest with you. But I mean,
yeah, I don't think they're getting much more than that from the Islanders, but they might get it from another team. Dallas is going to have interest. Actually, I mean, obviously he played at Carolina too. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up, Anthony, and especially he's probably going to want to go somewhere, test the free agent waters. I think Calgary would say no on this one. So this one, we got 2 of them with the New York Rangers. The Rangers send Braden Schneider to Edmonton for Philip Broberg. Anthony, I'm going to go with that the Rangers say no on this one. You're going to be a contending team. You don't need to reset the clock. You need a more experienced defenseman. Schneider is much more experienced than Broberg is. That I would absolutely say that.
He is more experienced, but to kind of go along with Philks, I think said yesterday in one of his tweets, Braden Schneider has been bad this season for the Rangers. He's been bad. And you got to remember, Philip Broberg comes with a high pedigree, Mark. He was drafted 2019, 8th overall. And he's only 22 years old, so he has that high-end ability in him. For the Rangers, honestly, you could strike lightning in a bottle. You acquire him, he breaks out. Who knows what he turns into? However, I will say I do think the Rangers say no just because Schneider does have more experience, and Broberg is still a little bit of a risk right now. But there's a high reward to that risk if the Rangers did take it because, like I said, he does have a real high pedigree.
They would have to make sure they get a veteran defenseman at the trade deadline. Like a couple years ago when they had Justin Braun, it was him and Schneider. They played pretty well. I'm actually getting on the train about giving up on Braden Schneider now. I wasn't at first. Now I kind of am.
And the thing is, if you are going to, this is the type of deal you do it in because you're getting a guy who was a high draft pick. And again, you got to remember, what do they always say, Mark? You got to
give up something to get something.
Well, yes, but defensemen take longer to develop. So Broberg at 22, he still could reach that potential. Like, put it this way, Broberg's ceiling is much higher than Braden Schneider's ceiling.
Well, let me also just throw this out just for the sake of conversation, because if I recall correctly, there's a winger that yeah. You're right about that one, Core. There was a winger that was drafted by the New Jersey Devils that came after Braden Schneider in that draft, or it might have been one pick before. I gotta double check that. And JD, I'm kind of starting to question his talent evaluation. Here's one that it's interesting that you pitched to me, Anthony. Jordan Eberle to the New York Rangers for Adam Sikora and a second-round pick. I'm actually going to say this one might go through. And you know what? It might work out for the Rangers. They might need a guy like Jordan Eberle who can be more of a playmaker, help out Kreider and Zibanejad, get them the puck. I don't think anybody says no. If anything, we'll say Seattle.
I mean, I think this goes through. Jordan Eberle is a pending unrestricted free agent. He's 33, 34, but he had a really good year last year. And in return, they're getting a second-round pick for a UFA to be and a guy who was drafted in the second round himself in Adam Sikora. So I think this is pretty fair. It's funny. It's funny as I say that. Of course, is this a pretty fair deal with thick and alike? Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Kraken are going to get a first-round pick for him. So I think for them, a second and a decent prospect, I think that's a fair deal. Eberle plays with speed. He has skill, and again, the Rangers right now with Kakko out, they're their right wing depth isn't good.
And we're going to get into a lot more of that in a minute. And also, when you keep on saying to be fair,
Well, to be fair.
I love that show. I make no bones about that one. Here's
That
one
was
that,
funny.
Anthony, I saw other people breaking this trade, and I had to laugh. I really just had to laugh because it's so. Hold on, Rangers might say no to this because they love Sikora.
They do have a second-round pick. When I do these, I try to make them as real as possible. I check draft capital before they do it. Yes, the Rangers have a second-round pick this year.
Yeah. Anthony, I laugh about this because this is one of those trades. I just think it's going to happen. It's just that simple. Watch this one. To the Edmonton Oilers, Jake Allen to Montreal, a second-round pick and a fifth-round pick, both 2024. Anthony, who's going to say no to this one?
You know what? Again, I think this goes through. The Canadians just signed Montembeault to a 3-year extension. So it seems like he's a guy that they're investing in a little bit. Jake Allen's a little older. The Canadians, let's face it, the Canadians aren't going anywhere this season. Been better than they expected. So I think for them to get a second-round pick and a fifth, again, these days draft capital is important. And the Oilers, while Jake Allen may not necessarily be the answer, I think he's better than Skinner. He's better than Campbell. He's better than Calvin Pickard, who they called up after Campbell got sent down. So I think it's a little bit better than a Band-Aid for him. I still think in a perfect world they need a better goalie like John Gibson, but I don't know if Anaheim is going to trade him. So I think this goes through.
I'm not a Jake Allen fan, to say the least. I had him in fantasy back when he was in his St. Louis Blues days, and he was frustrating enough. He is to me, he's Jack Campbell before Jack Campbell was Jack Campbell. I am not a big Jake Allen fan. Now, is he playing well with limited games in Montreal? Yeah, of course he's playing all right. But I mean, basically, this is the definition of insanity to me. And the funny thing is, Anthony, this is going to happen. I know this is going to happen. But Jack Campbell I just called him Jack Campbell.
So yes, they are rumored to be poking around Elvis Merzlikins or Spencer Martin on Columbus, and also that Tarasov is going to be coming back. There's been talk that maybe there's a deal brewing there. So you're not wrong. They are poking around Columbus's goalies.
I mean, I'm kind of looking around at this and just going, Anthony, if Edmonton does this, what else are they doing? They got to bolster their defense. They never do. And I mean, right now they're behind the 8 ball. I think Edmonton, I mean, they're close to being done. So
they're 8 points out of the playoffs. And what's alarming for Oiler fans, I think last week when we did our show, I think the deficit was same, like 8 points. So they haven't made anything up. And they're going to start having to make it up soon if they want to get in. And this is why trading for a guy like Jake Allen will help, but I still think they need better.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need better. And if everybody keeps on saying it wouldn't surprise you if the Oilers go on a 9-1 run, guess what? They better do it and do it soon. Here's one for you, Anthony. Speaking about a team that could use some defensive help, especially with John Klingberg going down for the season, to the Toronto Maple Leafs, Mario Ferraro, and that would go for a first-round draft pick and Easton Cowan. That's who would go. Anthony, who says no on this one?
Toronto may be hesitant because Cowan was a first-round pick himself, and they're giving up a first. However, Mario Ferraro, as Elliot Friedman alluded to, he's got 2 years left on his contract at a reasonable cap hit. I think it's like 3.25. And he really emerged over the last couple of years as a real dependable, solid number 4 guy in San Jose. So I think he's going to be in high demand. I think this is a guy that you're going to have to pay a first to get, I think. I don't know if a second will cut it because of his contract status and his age. But listen, Toronto, as we all know, they're desperately trying to win now. I mean, every year it's always something with them not getting over the hump. I mean, hell, right now they're only up in a wild card spot. They're only 1 point ahead of the Islanders and some of the other teams that are chasing them. So I don't know. It's not a given that I think Toronto is going to finish in the top 3 in the division, and there's so many better teams now in the Metro that are improved and the Atlantic that even to wild card is going to be a battle, and I think they're going to have to improve their defense. So ultimately, I don't think they want to give this up, but I think if it comes down to it, and they really, really need to improve their defense, this is a deal I think they would do.
I think this is where your trouble of making it realistic makes it hard for me to say who says no on this one. I'm not sure if anybody says no, Anthony, so good job. So let's just put this trade through maybe in about a couple months. San Jose is going to be dealing a lot of players. I think they have 9 UFAs with 7 on the roster and 2 on IR. But they're going to be trading everybody they possibly can right now. And I'm wondering how they're going to field the team at the end of the season, but that's a different story. But, I got to say, Mario Ferraro would be a great get for Toronto. And, he's had a good career so far. He's still really not even that – he's still not that old. He's still pretty young. And also, Anthony, the last one, did you remember where Vladimir Tarasenko – hold on.
That's a good point. I mean, that's good that with Jake McCabe, but – I guess we'll see.
And there you go. Sorry to the audio listeners. There was a comment comparing this to Jake McCabe trade. Do you remember where Vladimir Tarasenko was supposed to sign last year, Anthony?
Carolina Hurricanes.
Carolina Hurricanes. Well, what about him going back to Carolina? And Ottawa gets a 2nd-round pick and a 3rd-round pick. Anthony, I'm going to say this goes through again. You're making these hard for me to say anybody says no.
Yeah. At his age, I don't think, even though he's having a good year, I don't think he's going to return a first from a team unless, they're desperate. He's a pending UFA. With the way Ottawa's playing, unless they go on an incredible run, I don't really see them getting to the playoffs. So I do think he will be traded. Again, he was almost a Hurricane in the summer. I think they'd have interest in him. The Hurricanes are underachieving. I think a lot of people expect them to be a little better. Like I said, they're barely holding on to 2nd in the Metro. They have some issues this year more than compared to some others. So he would give them a shot in the arm in scoring department. Again, Ottawa gets, the 2nd and 3rd round pick, which I think is fair value for someone his age. So yeah, I think this goes through.
I just balk at this whenever anybody talks about Tarasenko. He got his 4th and 5th goal, and his 5th one went into an empty net last night. The goal he got on Shesterkin, he absolutely just ripped it over his glove side. It was a great shot. I'm not exactly impressed with him. I wasn't impressed with him last year with the New York Rangers. Kind of not impressed with him right now. I think he should have taken a multi-year deal. He's going to regret doing this on a 1-year deal. That's why I think Ottawa wants him to go on a hot streak so that way he can get a 1st-round draft pick out of somebody. I just don't see it happening. But what do you guys think? Were there any trades that we were wrong about? Someone else would say no? Leave it all down in the comments below, guys. And we are going to take a second out to give a message from DraftKings and then go into some NHL Bar Talk. Hockey fans light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pregame moneyline on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot and an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sports app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
I'm going to say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. I love that opening statement. I say this every single week, Anthony, because I know the next line after you say that is, and we'll get to that one in a second.
That's an interesting one, yeah.
Yeah, is when you say to me, what hack came up with that question. And I had to be like, I am that hack.
Some chirps
Matt
from
is
Marc
saying,
with
welcome
the
to Big
layup
Apple
talk.
Hockey's layout talk, which is the same thing. Ranger Central is saying, why are you so confident? Self-allies. All right, welcome back to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk, where we're gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. Are you so confident that you're buying everybody around? So I'll have a beer, or, oh, dear God, I'll just take a shot. And you know what? I'm right next to my bar cart right now. I got a bottle of John Powers next to me. I might actually take a shot at some point during this. And speaking of which, why go to the liquor store when they can bring it to you? Liquor, beer, wine, whatever you want. Make it a drizzly night. And of course, the Big Apple Hockey Trucker hats and shirts are available. Anthony, we're going to start with the New York Rangers. And Johnny Brzezinski has got 4 points in 5 games. He's been playing a little bit with that top line. And the Rangers should keep him on that top line.
I mean, he's playing good right now, but are you trying to tell me that Johnny Brodzinski is seriously a long-term option? He's a kind of journeyman. I'm gonna go shot. I mean, he's okay for right now, but I mean this is like the equivalent of the Islanders putting Julian Gauthier on the top line. I mean, he's not a long-term solution. And similar to Gauthier, goals in 2 straight games, but no, this is not a guy that is on a contending team's top line. Like I said, kudos for him playing better right now, but I mean, long term, absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm even for the short term. I'm going to take a shot on that one too, Ann, because after all, this is almost a layup shot. I know we've been talking about layups, but Johnny Brodzinski, third, fourth liner, if he's playing a little bit on those lines, you're fine. But no, absolutely not, Anthony. The Rangers can't rely on Johnny Brzezinski to try to be the guy over there. And I know they're trying to. You could hope for the Colin Blackwell effect, if you will. The greatest guy ever to wear a Rangers jersey, according to some of Twitter. Oh, him and Pavel Buchnevich. And it's just no. I wouldn't do that. Eventually you're gonna have to move on. It's good for a couple games, but I don't think it's gonna be something that lasts. Anthony, I had a lead in for this one, but with the Islanders' left side as depleted as it is, the Islanders need to trade for a left shot defenseman now.
Yeah, so they picked up Mike Riley off waivers, which actually he's played solid. But right now, with Pelech and Aho out, I mean the left side is really Romanov, Riley, and then Samuel Bolduc. So yeah, I think they need to add another guy here. It'll improve their depth and make them stronger, especially. And then when Pelech comes back, for instance, the example was Noah Hannafin. Traded for Hannafin. When Pelech comes back, Pelech and Hannafin as your 1 and 2 on the left side, it doesn't really get much better than that. So whether it be Hannafin or Mario Ferraro or another left-handed defenseman, they could really use somebody right now with NHL experience to help out.
Yeah, they need to go wherever they can to find somebody, because when you're without Adam Pelech, that defensive core just goes down. And they need help on the left side. So I think it's a round for both of us, right? Yeah. So yeah. I gotta go round on that one too. I actually forgot to put up yours, so we have to do it again. Look, the Islanders are going to try to find whatever help they can, Anthony. It's just, I mean, coaching helps. Coaching helps defense.
It certainly does.
And you can have a good coach. By the way, just to mention one Islander defenseman, not lost in all that bullet. Ryan Pulock let go.
Yeah.
4-1. Oh my goodness. That was amazing. Anthony, let's say the Metro Division standings. If you look at the top 4 teams in the Metro, the Rangers 37 points, Carolina 28, Philadelphia 28, and the Islanders are tied at 28.
No, Islanders have 20. Islanders have 27.
Oh yeah, the Islanders have 27. Okay. Oops, Marc messed up. So we got to get one of them in so far. So I think I accidentally just got that in there. All right. Anthony, second and third place in the Metropolitan Division will be a crapshoot.
Yeah, I mean, right now this is a round. I mean, the second, which is the Hurricanes at 29, and the Penguins at seventh at 25th, separated by 4 points. I mean, you have the Devils who their goaltending right now is they can't keep it out of the back of the net. Dougie Hamilton's out. There's just so much at play here. The Hurricanes aren't themselves. Everyone's so close. The margin of error here is really really slim. And yeah, sure, could teams like the Flyers and the Capitals, who everyone thought was going to be bad, fall off? They certainly can, but they haven't yet. So I mean, right now, I think second and third are really up for grabs here. It's just going to be. I think it's going to come down to who could start playing some consistent hockey and put a string of games together where they're collecting points. Honestly, similar to the Islanders, how they're 5-1-2 in the last 8. If they keep that up, or whatever team can kind of replicate that and go on a little run here, has a solid chance of getting one of those spots. But right now, I think out of all those teams, they're legitimately in the fight here for those 2 spots.
I'm actually going to go beer on it only because the word "and" is in there. I think third place is going to be a bit of a crapshoot, and the thing that's more surprising, and the only reason why it's a beer, not a shot, Carolina 6-7 on the road, 6-3-1 in the last 10. They're only a +5 in goal differential. Their goaltending has been abysmal, and obviously we could all point to the Tampa Bay game where Antti Ranta had a .423 save percentage.
Yeah, that's awful.
And he finished the game. He played the entire game. Yep. And I mean, Pyotr Kochetkov, I think that guy could always take the ball and run. But then it seems every time he doesn't have a save percentage that gets over 900. And then there's Freddie Anderson, who plays well and then gets injured. Back to the rest of the teams. Right now, the Islanders can't hold a third period lead. The Devils are a shadow of what they were last year. Their goaltending is another one that hasn't been good. You got Pittsburgh. Call me when they're a threat, because they're supposed to be on their annual 10-game win streak that makes them a real threat right now. They're still not on that. They're kind of a mid team. I mean, Tristan Jarry's got a goal. He's tied with Erik Karlsson and Jeff Carter, and he's one behind Evgeny Malkin. Anthony, I don't like any of this from that. Third place is definitely a crapshoot. The and part for second, I don't know about that one. Let's go to the Atlantic Division, Anthony, where the Toronto Maple Leafs have 5 regulation wins. They are tied. They actually have less than the San Jose Sharks. I forgot what teams they're tied with. I think Montreal. The lack of regulation wins makes Toronto a pretender.
I mean, yeah, right now I got to go round. I mean, it's kind of inconceivable to say because how much talent they have on the team with Marner and Tavares and Nylander, Matthews, but their division, the Red Wings look like they're for real. Obviously, the Bruins, we all know about them. They're staying up there. The Panthers are playing real well, so it's going to be hard for them to kind of crack a top 3 spot in the Atlantic if the Red Wings and the Panthers keep this up. And then on the flip side of things, as far as the wild card, you have the Lightning, who they're competing with, and you have the Islanders and the rest of the teams in the Metro, the Devils, the Penguins, the Hurricanes or wherever. So it's not even a lock that they make the playoffs, which is kind of crazy to say. But yeah, they need to start. They need to start getting some regulation wins because remember, Mark, at the end of the year, the tiebreaker, the row
regulation overtime wins.
Yes, regulation wins are huge, so they need to start winning games in regulation. But I'm going to go round here.
Yeah, I'm going to just put up the round right there and put us in agreement. Look, you can't be a team that's going overtime all the time because then you're either winning by shootout, you're winning in 3-on-3. That's not the way the game is played in the playoffs. So Toronto can retool. You still got Sheldon Keefe as the coach, which, I mean, I kind of thought they needed a change on that last year. I didn't think he was that great of a coach with the Leafs. Usually when you get a brand new GM, he changes out the coach. That's going to be a topic we're going to come back to in about 30 seconds, everybody. But I mean, Anthony, this is definitely around because I mean, you can't play like this. It's the same thing I just said about the Islanders. You can't just like give up leads and then go into overtime because that doesn't translate to the playoffs. You got to win games in 60 minutes, which I don't have a lead in for it. He won last night, but DJ Smith could be fired by Valentine's Day. Anthony, I'm going to start this one off. It's an absolute layup. He's going to be fired by Valentine's Day. Look, the Ottawa Senators they played the fewest games of anybody in the NHL. I think now they only played 20 games, and you could argue he's got some room to come back on, but now you have to do all those. You got more back-to-backs. You got to do all this winning in a short span. I don't like it. His goaltending has been terrible. Jonas Korpisalo, a 8.97 save percentage, a 3.41 goals against, and Anton Forsberg, not better, 891 save percentage, 291 goals against. I guess he's got a little bit right there. But this has been, ever since Pierre Dorian's been fired, the sword of Damocles is hanging over his head, just waiting to drop. Just put him out of his misery and go hire somebody else.
Interest of time, because I got to head out soon. I'm just going to say round, and it's because, they just hired Jacques Martin as the special advisor of the coaching staff. He's certainly breathing down DJ Smith's neck, regardless of what, ownership want to say about it. I could see it happening for sure.
Yeah, we're going to try to breeze through these last ones real quick. So, Anthony, we also got the first team ever to beat the last 5, technically 6, Stanley Cup champions in a row, Arizona Coyotes. They have just beat the last ones, Tampa Bay, St. Louis, Washington, and Colorado. Arizona is a top 3 team in the Central Division. Oh, okay. Well, the dogs made it my turn, guys. So, short answer on that, geez, I'm going to go beer, because they're really kind of breathing down Winnipeg's neck, and Winnipeg is only 4 points out of the top spot in the division, 2 points for the Coyotes behind Winnipeg. The Coyotes have been a much tougher team to play against this year. Their away record, they're still 500, but at home, 8-4, although I was able to go and see the LA Kings end up beating them. So hopefully the Coyotes can end up taking one of those top spots, but I am going to go beer on that one. So going to just still get a little bit of that out there, because right now with the Coyotes, they're trying to just say, please let it be April, because after all, if they're going to be going back to the playoffs in a real season, not the play-in tournament. They did win a play-in tournament, become the 8th seed, and then was the sacrificial lamb to the Colorado Avalanche in 2020. The Coyotes, and the last time they did make the playoffs, you know what? They ended up winning the division. So sorry, and no, not winning the division. They ended up going to the Western Conference Finals. Yikes! That's what happens when you talk a lot, guys. You end up saying things and going a little bit far on that one. Still buying a little bit more time as Anthony has just run off for a second. Just want to, there we go. I can move myself over there. And also, again, we're brought to you by Drizzly. I do have the Marc on the road where I went to Mullen Arena. I have to show you guys that one and get that finished for you. But we've had a lot of stuff. Anthony is back now. So, Anthony, they're a top 3 team in the Central. You are muted. I got you.
Yeah. I got to go. But yeah, quickly, I would say, right now, they have 28 points. They're only 2 points behind Winnipeg, who holds the third spot. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say round. I think the Coyotes are a young upstart team. I think, they certainly surprised people, but they're playing really sound hockey. They're getting good goaltending. Connor Ingram's been really, really good in goal for him. Schmaltz, Keller, Logan Cooley, you name it. They're getting Maselli, who they're getting a lot of production from. I like the team, and 2 points behind Winnipeg. I think those teams are interchangeable, so I can certainly see them finishing in the top 3. But
all right,
I gotta run. I gotta pick Al up from dance. So nice chatting with you, and hopefully we see some good hockey tonight and tomorrow.
All right. And he might be everywhere, guys. You're going to see Anthony around doing guest spots soon.
All right.
And he'll forget the little people that he's.
No, never. I'll see you later.
All right. See you later, Ant. Thank you very much. All right. I'm going to finish out the last two Bar Talk segments with just me, guys, and then I'm going to take some of your questions. So let's start with what happened just last night and an amazing comeback. The LA Kings coming back and beating the Columbus Blue Jackets in overtime. They are perfect on the road. They're 4 points out of the Pacific Division lead. And the question is, will the Kings lead the Pacific Division at Christmas? I'm going to go with a round on this one, guys. I love the way the Kings are playing, and I kind of thought a nice story. Look, Cam Talbot has been just absolutely playing out of his mind. Probably the best hockey he's played either in 5 years or 8 years. Take your pick. With either Edmonton when he had that really good season, or with the New York Rangers when he actually got a Vezina Trophy vote as a backup. You got to love the way that they're playing right now. I still don't like their goaltending in the long run, but they are very stingy defensively. Number one in the NHL in goals against, and on the road. If they could play every game on the road, they'd go 82-0. But unfortunately, they got to play home when they're only one game over 500. So, and the last one is the NHL is going to be decentralizing the draft. And this year they're going to be at the Vegas Sphere. The NHL is making a mistake by decentralizing the draft. And I'm actually just going to go beer on this one. I was at the draft last year in Nashville and had a great time. I was there coincidentally just visiting a friend. And I do think if you take away fan experiences or like an NHL convention or something like that, it ends up hurting the fans in the long run. Ellie Friedman has hypothesized that the NHL could make this sort of like NHL con and do something like that. That would be a great idea. Get the fans going in and seeing everything. That would be fantastic. We're going to be going to the draft this year as Big Apple Hockey, and I, for one, I cannot wait to see that. But I get concerned about taking away a fan experience, and if fans enjoyed this, I mean, it felt like it was just a culmination and a gathering for all 32 teams. And last year, you guys should have seen Broadway in Nashville. It was a sight to behold. It was fantastic. So what are your thoughts on Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk and any other layups? Let's get some of these middle in here. If playoff games happen at Mullet, that'll be everything the NHL deserves. You know what? Mullet Arena is a great place. And here's the other thing. First off, you go in there, there's no bad seats because you're basically the entire time is in the lower bowl. Arizona does have a hockey fan base because it's just they're just building the arena, the Gila River Arena out in Glendale. Nobody wants to go out to Glendale, but they'll go to Tempe. And Arizona, supposedly, they're actually going to buy more land. Now, on the subject of the Kings, Matt was saying round on that one. They are my team to come out of the West this year. They're such a great team as well. The defensive structure. They also don't have Arvidsson, who did have a great season. John is saying that it's around, like in baseball, great teams are built up the middle. Hell yeah, John. So let's get a couple more questions out here. And yes, the Yotes have a ton of assets that can move some teams at the deadline. I'm starting to get back to some of these other questions. Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that one, David. If Ovi doesn't heat up, it's gonna be a rough time for the Capitals. Hard to believe the Capitals. And again, to quote my article, I have coming out. It's actually up right now if you want to go read it on BAH.com. The what your team's Christmas wish is. For me, for the New York Rangers, it's right-wing help. They need right-wing help badly. And They could try to figure out whatever they're going to do with that, but Kako being injured is only going to hurt it even more and really show the problem. Blake Wheeler isn't that good, so. But one of the ones that we were mentioning, I forgot some of these already. But check it out. Check it out. I've been working on it the last couple days. Try to get those wishes out because I have to go back to your comments and remember what was right there. Oh, yeah. Capitals. They need goals. It's hard to believe. And Alexander Ovechkin right now killing my fantasy team. I'm going to go back to this one. J.E. is saying, does anyone think that it's a possibility Zach Jones gets a start over Schneider? A little bit of a wake-up call for Schneid's. I'm on record saying this. I'm not impressed with Zach Jones. He gets pushed around way too much. Good kid, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And Akira Schmid, such a stud in goal. Yeah, who'd have thought? Devils don't need help goaltending at all. So we're going to go for just a few more minutes, everybody. I'm not buying Minnesota. I know that they got a little bit of the post-coach spike, if you will, because they got John Hines. But I just don't think on that one. Duclair is showing off everything that he could do this week versus the New York Rangers. What a move for that first goal. I think Duclair would be a good option. That's there. We're starting to see what things are going to take shape, and it's he's might be one of the better wingers that's going to be available. San Jose is going to have a lot of them available. I would not balk at Kevin LeBanc if I'm the New York Rangers because Staten Island kid might want to come home, but we'll see what that is. NYR for Life is saying I think Jones has moved at the deadline. Jones reminds me of Pionk. Yeah, Pionk. He was okay. But Jacob Trouba was the guy that he ended up being traded for. And I know he had that good first season, but not really there. John's got the approval of LeBanc. See, J.E., I got to say this. Duclair fits on NYR, but also would he fit on NYI? I think anybody would go and take Anthony Duclair. And right now he's playing for the next team he's going to play on. Because he's unrestricted free agent, if I got that one correctly. Checking that one right now. I got a good one right there that is going to be answered. And we're going to wonder on that one out loud. But Duclair is an unrestricted free agent, only making $3 million. So that is a good value for anyone. But Matt is saying, Mark, if Tampa Bay continues to struggle, do you see them moving Stamkos at the deadline? If you read the article that I put up, there's a spoiler in there on that. But right now, yeah, I think that's a possibility. It's hard to imagine where Tampa is going to fit him in the salary cap. But Stamkos has a full no trade clause. So I don't think Stamkos is just going to go, all right, get rid of me, send me anywhere. He's going to have a specific team that he's going to want to go to. If they decide they want to move on from him, I still think his heart's in Tampa. I think he loves being there. He's been there since 2008. He had the chance to leave and go to Toronto and be the savior, and he didn't take that opportunity. He's won 2 Stanley Cups, been to a Stanley Cup Finals, and even when it looked like his career was going very much to a halt, he has then cleared 100 points for the first time, probably enjoying his most points production in a long time. He's only 33 years old too right now. So it's going to be interesting on him. That's one of the names I'm going to look at. He's going to fit in that Claude Giroux territory where you're going to be like, there's no way they're trading him. There's no way they're trading him. Yeah, they might be trading him. All right. Well, guys, I'm going to start playing out the bye-bye music because as good as it is to talk to all of you, I know you're tired of hearing from me, and I got dinner that is going to be waiting for me in a little bit. Cannot wait for that. And all right, but everybody, thank you very much. And I'm actually going to have to cut this off early. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you on the replay. Bye.